Contestant number 2, Ken Krawchuk. Crossing the thin blue line. Crossing the thin blue line, Ken Krawchuk.
Is it me, or does this whole room smell like donuts? Thank you for bringing the donuts today. I love donuts. Who else is famous for loving donuts? What group of people is famous for loving donuts?
Police.
That's right, the police. At least your stereotypical policeman. But is that stereotype true? Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, last year I had the opportunity to find out. Because after years of trying, I was finally admitted into the Abington Citizens Police Academy. Oh yeah, you heard me right. The Police Academy. Officer Ken. My ticket to Donut City. Actually, I wouldn't really be a full police officer, rather just an auxiliary police officer. But the important thing is, it got me into the police academy. And while I was there, I learned 3 basic truths about the police. First of all, they care very deeply and honestly for the communities they protect. Their hearts are in the right place. The second thing I learned is they could conquer us at any given second. They have very impressive weaponry, and they train with it constantly. The third thing I learned is that the police do indeed eat a lot of donuts. After 3 months of training at the police academy, and about 10 pounds on my stomach, I finally graduated. And they said, Ken, here's your patch. I'm now an official auxiliary policeman. Auxiliaries get patches instead of badges. They told me that meant I could help out with all sorts of things with the police. I could direct traffic at parades. I could assist during natural disasters. I could even work DUI checkpoints. Now that last one really gave me a chuckle. Can you see that libertarian Ken work at a DUI checkpoint? But I figured, why not? I'm a night owl. I can handle that 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. I'd be doing some good for the community. Maybe see a little action. Think of all the free donuts. Woohoo! So at 10 p.m. on a warm June evening, I report for duty. Here's a picture of me in my regalia. Now, a lot of you may not be familiar with what goes on behind the scenes at a DUI checkpoint. At least I hope you're not familiar. So let me give you a quick rundown of what it looks like. Of course, out front are all the policemen with the cars, and the cones, and the lights and everything. But there's also a processing area, typically a parking lot of a church or a supermarket. And if an officer out on the street feels that somebody may be impaired, they escort them back into the processing area. Once there, they go through a 4-step process. First was an interview to find out if the person may be under the influence. If they fail the interview, then comes the field sobriety test, where they walk the line, touch their nose, stand on 1 foot, do knee bends until the hat size changes, whatever it may be. If they fail the field sobriety test, out comes the breathalyzer. Now it's not a balloon anymore, it looks like a little kazoo with a readout on top. If they fail the breathalyzer, they haul them away in irons in the back of a police car. You got it? So here I am, 10 p.m., I'm on the job. My role is a trainee, so I'm there to shadow other police officers just to learn how the ropes are handled. It didn't take long for us to get our first customer. Customer, that's what they call them, customers. Elderly gentleman and his wife, smiling, walk in, says good evening to me, sits down and the testing officer starts the questions. Excuse me, sir, have you been drinking tonight? Why, yes I have. My wife and I had some wine with dinner. Uh-oh, he just failed the interview. So the officer goes on to the next stage. Sir, can I ask you to get up and walk this line, touch your nose, do deep knee bends, so your hat size changes? The guy gets up, he does it perfectly. Right along the line, I figured this guy's fine. But the officer must have seen something that I didn't, because he pulls out the breathalyzer, asks the gentleman to please blow into it. The two of them are standing over it, waiting for the readout to pop up. Look up at each other. Next thing you know, he's being hauled away in irons. Me, I whacked the testing officer on the arm and said, what's the deal? This guy's not drunk. He said, oh, You don't have to be drunk to go over the limit. What? Let me have a donut and think about this one for a while. It didn't take long till we got our second customer, young lady, and she's crying. Crying as they escorted her in, cried through the interview, cried through the sobriety test, cried while she was blowing up the breathalyzer, and cried as they were taking her away. Do you know how hard it is to wipe tears from your eyes while your hands are cuffed behind your back? But she tried. It was heartbreaking to watch. What was even more heartbreaking? She didn't vote drunk either. Finally, about 1:30 in the morning, in comes a couple, and they are trashed. They're staggering, they're leaning on each other, they're giggling, they're laughing. Testing officer sits the guy down in a chair, just a little metal chair. He leans back like he's a lazy boy in his living room. Officer says, "I'd like to ask you a few questions." "Sure, go ahead." "I'm not going to answer." "Well, that means I can ask you to walk the line, do deep knee bends." "Nope." "Well, that means I'm empowered to administer the breathalyzer." In a pig's eye you are. They tried everything they could think of to cajole this guy, to convince him to finally do something. He refused. You know what eventually happened? His father came and drove him home. No handcuffs, no patrol car, chauffeur dadmobile instead. Unbelievable. I was there to learn, and I learned 3 basic truths that night. Number 1, I am not cut out to be a cop. I could not wait until 3 a.m. rolled around so I could get home, and when I did, I was an emotional wreck. I couldn't believe the injustices I saw that night. 8 people were hauled away in irons, 8 lives ruined, and not one of them was drunk to my eye. And the one who was, he got away. The second truth I learned is that the problem is not the police or their suspicionless checkpoints. They're the good guys, remember. The problem is the law that we, the people, have told them to enforce. And that law, I found out, is a bad one. It turns out the police don't have to conquer us. We've already conquered ourselves. And the third truth I learned is that sometimes free donuts aren't worth the price you pay for them, especially when the price is your own peace of mind and the freedom of an innocent person.